All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Mondshow Publishers, where we live that passive income life one idea at a time. So as promised, today's video is going to be about accounts that you should have open for your children. So if you have a child that's 18 or younger, these 3 accounts are going to help you set them on their path to financial freedom. So let's get into the first account. The first account is a 529 account. I'm sure you have heard of this. This is an education savings account. There are 2 types. You have a prepaid plan and then you have a savings plan. With the prepaid plan, not every state has this and not every school allows this. But basically what it is where you can pay a certain amount of the college tuition schools that allow you to. You can pay for them right now at what the current interest rates are. So I'm not saying this, let's say school A is on here and right now it's $150,000 to go to that school. You're able to pay a portion of that right now for that college education versus 10 years down the road when your child may be ready to go to college at that time. So it's supposed to be able to save you money on current rates versus what the rates may be down the line. But you need to investigate this because number one, not all states allow it. Not all schools allow it. And if your son decides to change from the school that you have selected to pay for, will that money be able to transfer to another school? You need to look into that. So the other plan is a savings plan with the 529. And that's the type of plan that I have for my son. I've had it set up for probably about 4 or 5 years now. He has about $25,000 that has accumulated in that account since I've actually set it up. In that time, it's probably earned $8,000 to $9,000 with the different funds that I have actually put it in. Now, talking about the different funds that you can put it in, for a 529, there are not a lot of options to put the money in. In mine, there's like 9 to 10 different options and they change as your child gets older. So right now, the plans that my son is in is for 5 to 7 year olds. And basically what happens is as your son or your daughter gets older, the risk gets less. You know, when they're younger, you're able to take a little bit more aggressive risk on trying to basically get money into the account. So you're depositing money every month, every week, however you have it set up. And that money is in different mutual funds that basically interest is accrued on that money. As they get older, less interest is accrued on those particular mutual funds that you have in there because you're getting closer to the time on when you may need that money. Now, with the money that is in a 529, it is not guaranteed. You could lose money in the mutual funds that you have, just like you can gain money. Now, a 529 is a tax deferred account, so it has a lot of tax advantages for putting money into the 529. The other thing about a 529 is that the money has to be used for educational purposes. So like I said, they're going to college, you got tuition, you got room and board, you got books, you got fees. Those different things can be utilized with a 529. If for whatever reason your child decides he or she does not want to go to college, the only way to pull that money out is with a 10% penalty. If you have another child, though, that does want to go to college, you can transfer that to another child or a relative, and you will not lose that 10% in penalties. Another feature that came about because of the 2017 tax code, as well as some changes in 2019, you are able to use funds in your 529 for K to 12 tuition purposes for your child. So if you have a kid that's in a private school, you're able to use money, you're able to use money in your 529 up to $10,000 per year per beneficiary. So for some people, they may want to use money in their 529 towards those purposes. Now, hopefully that kind of sums it up for you about a 529. But with anything around this, I am not a CPA, I am not a CFP. So you do need to talk with people in your area, talk with your CPA about it if you don't have a 529 to see if it's best for you. And they can also help you decide which type may be best for you, because you don't have to sign up for the one in your state. You can actually apply or set up a 529 that is based in any state. You're not regulated to where you have to set it up, but do your due diligence on there to see what's best for you. The second account is a custodial account. This is an account that I have for my son also. One of the things that I changed was for the money that I was putting in my 529 account, I actually started taking that money and I moved it over to the custodial. As mentioned, I have about $25,000 in my son's 529 right now, but I started thinking, what if he didn't want to go to college? What if he wanted to do something else? You know, maybe he wanted to have his own business or whatever. He's not able to use that money in the 529 for those purposes. So I started doing a custodial account. Same type of thing. It does not have the tax benefits that a 529 account does, but he is able to use this money for any purposes. If he wanted to get his first car, if he wanted to get an apartment, whatever it is, as long as it's him utilizing the money, he can actually get that money. Now, until he gets of age of 18, I actually run that particular account, but he can still use the money. There's a checkbook that they have for him. His name is on the checks along with mine, but he can use that money at any time for any purpose. And the other benefit of a custodial is you have more options of what you can put your money into. There's all types of stocks in my son's custodial. He has Nintendo stock, he has Walmart stock, he has 3D stock. There are several different types. You have the full gambit of what you want to put the money into. Could you lose the money? Absolutely. His has been doing very good. He has about 14,000 in that account. It started out at about 9,000 at the beginning of this year, but the stocks in there have done very well. He actually has Disney stock. I try to put stocks in there that I know align with my son. He loves Disney. He loves shopping at Walmart, you know, for toys and things. And then there's a couple of stocks that I put in there that I thought would be good, and they have done very well. So he's made quite a bit of money so far this year. So that's the other option that you have. And one of the things that I do with my the custodial for my son is I have a home-based business. My son, who's 7 years old, he works for me. And so I pay my son $12 an hour. He has his own job description. He has his own time card. I created all of this because if you did not know, you can hire your child in your home-based business, which I have. My son's duty is he cleans up my office every day. He empties the trash can. He does all of the inventory for the products that I sell on Amazon and eBay. He mails all of the packages that I have. I print off the labels. He puts them on the packages. We go to the post office, UPS. We do that every day. That's his job. Carry the packages, take them in. The other thing he does is he actually packages my private label products. So I have 3 private label products. Part of his duties is he packages each and every one of those, seals them up, and then we send them off to Amazon. So he has a full job description and he works this job every day, even on Saturdays and Sundays. My son is putting in at minimum an hour each day to do these different duties, and I have them documented and I have the time card. But I said that to say this: all of the money that I pay my son goes directly into his custodial account each month. So it's kind of like twofold. You could take that money and put it directly into his 529. But like I said, I wanted to make sure he could use that money for anything. So that's why I put it in his custodial. It's under his name. It goes in on a monthly basis. It ties in to his time card, to his job duties. So I get to write off everything that I pay my son on my taxes each year. If you are not aware of that, like I said, I'm not a CPA, so you need to talk with your CPA about this, but you can hire your child in your home-based business. Now, when I say home-based, I have my business officially set up. I have a LLC, I have a EIN, I have all of the proper paperwork to show what my business is, and I file that on my taxes. So if you want to hire your child in your business, you can pay them up to the standard deduction, which is $12,500. I do not pay my son anywhere near that. I put what I pay him a reasonable amount for what someone else would be paid if they were doing these duties. So it was a little over $5,000 that I wrote off for my son last year that he did in my business. So that's a little nugget if you're not doing that. The final account is basically a savings account. Before my son was 1 year old, we had actually set him up an account at the local credit union. I set it up at this particular credit union because they give money. Each birthday, he gets $5 automatically deposited into his account. There was not a minimum to set it up. There's not a fee. There's not fees on the account. This is basically an Explorer account to teach your child about money. Whenever he gets his report card, he gets money for A's that's on his report card. He gets $1 for every A that's on his report card. So this is free money that he's getting for doing the things that he should be doing anyway. And my purpose is I want to explain to my son about money, how it works, how it goes into, your account, how you deposit it. Like today, we went on a trip to the actual credit union because he had $73 in coins that he had rolled up. I have an automatic coin machine. He rolls up his coins in that, plus he had some birthday money. So he took that and he deposited that into his account. He has about $1,000 in his savings account now, but this is all from Christmas money and change that he finds around the house. So to recap, 3 different accounts: a 529 account, educational savings account, 2 different accounts with that. You can have the prepaid or you can have the savings plan. Second account, custodial account. This is an account that is still for your child. You are actually over it until they get 18 years old. They will have their name on the account. They will have a checkbook that is associated, with the account, and they can use that money for anything, but they have to use it. And then the final account is a savings account. If you don't have a credit union or different bank in your area that has an account that is specifically for your child, I would still say get them a savings account. Just do a high yield savings account. And a high yield savings account pays a lot more annual percentage yield than a regular savings account that you're going to have at a big box bank like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They're probably paying 0.01%. A high yield savings account is paying 0.50% or higher. And in other words, what that means is if you have $1,000 and you have it in a big box bank, it's paying you 0.01%. At the end of the year, that compounded interest, you're going to have 10 cents that you've earned on $1,000. That same $1,000 in a high yield account that's at 0.50%, you would have earned $5.01. It's not a lot of money, but if it's free money, would you rather have the extra $5 or the extra 10 cents? So you can look those up on the internet for high yield savings account. Places like Ally, that's actually where I have my high yield savings account, and they're paying 0.50%. But you can look that up and just look up high yield savings account. One thing to know about those is they usually do not have a brick and mortar place. So if you're depositing money into them, you're either transferring it from another account that you have, or you may have to mail it in. I'm not sure all of the ways to actually do it. I transfer my money into it from one account that I have at Bank of America. I transfer any money that I want to go to that account. I transfer it from Bank of America or, into the Ally account. You could have an Ally that is local that you're depositing it into an ATM machine. I'm not sure, but that's the way that I put mine in there. So it is a difference, with it. And some of these you have to request to get a debit card, for, because I have a checking account and I have a savings account, but I didn't notice in the beginning, they never sent me a debit card for it. With Ally, I had to request it. But either way, great bank. I've already earned this year, I think $80 some in interest on the account that I have at Ally. The more money you have in there, the more money you're going to earn in interest. So hopefully this helped you out. These are, like I said, 3 accounts you need to have set up for your child. But I would say before you get into creating a 529 account or any type of account for your child, you want to make sure that you are not knee deep in debt. So no point in creating a savings account if you don't have, your debt paid off. All your debt, with the exception of huge debts like your house, that's a major debt that it takes a little bit of time to pay that off. But if you got a whole lot of credit card debt and different things that you're trying to get right, get that out of the way first before you start setting up your child in a position to have financial freedom down the road. Thank you again for joining the video today. If there's any questions, like I talked about, the time card, the job description, if you have an interest in seeing how I actually do that, drop a line below. I'll put a link to the time card that I created, as well as kind of give you an example of how I did my son's job description. All of this is available to you. Just let me know if you're interested in it. Thank you again for joining Monshel Publishers, and we'll see you on the next video. Live that passive life one idea at a time.
Yeah.